Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video, and this is another request for RB who sent in pretty decent amount, so thank you so much, man. I hope you're enjoying. There's not really a way I could contact him, because I want to make sure he's able to know these videos are up. But thank you for your kindness, man. Hopefully these videos are okay. Anyone out there, thank you for your patience, your kindness. I do appreciate it. And if anyone wants to request any other type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, tier list ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And this is for another episode. He requested a couple episodes of this show called Aerial America, which I'd never heard of before, but it was on the Smithsonian Channel, which again, I never even knew that was an actual channel. And I don't know where it's on now. I mean, like, it lasted quite a few years. You can find some of this stuff on YouTube or Dailymotion if you want to watch it. But pretty much what they do is for about 45 to 50 minutes, for a while they took a state. And then when they ran out of states, it's like they took this portion or this portion, and they give a bit of a history lesson, but they're showing these beautiful aerial photography of the landscapes of that particular state. So for example, this is Utah. So it shows the area where people go to simulate Mars and they do their training. There's the space-like terrain, and there's a prototype station there, and you actually see people. And then all is shot from this camera mounted to this helicopter. And again, beautiful looking shots. If you just want to watch and just be mesmerized by the look of these states, definitely, as HD as you can, it's very beautiful to look at this stuff. So it's definitely eye-catching, and you get to learn a thing or two. So these are interesting. I did not know in Utah they did stuff to simulate Mars. There's the Mormon Trail. I guess Salt Lake City is the center of Mormon faith. I did not know that. And there's the Mormon Trail that people cross, and there's the Salt Lake Valley. There's Antelope Island, which is ironic because it's mostly bison there. They show the place of Robert Redford, and then they show places where Gunsmoke and Lone Ranger was shot. I mentioned Robert Redford because I think they said Bush Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was shot at parts around there. And Robert Redford apparently loved Utah. And in fact, some stuff was established where the Sundance Film Festival occurs there. It still every year occurs there, but it definitely became more and more of a famed festival of Sundance. Probably the most eye-catching are these potassium. There's potassium salts, and there's these evaporation pools that they put this bright blue dye, and that's actually going to be the thumbnail, because it was so eye-catching just how blue these things were. I'm like, okay, they put a blue dye, and it's to help with these salt crystals percolate, and they're used for a variety of products. I'm like, okay, that's just really cool to look at. This Utah Data Center by Bluffdale. It's a complex, and that's where, if you know the name Snowden, and he was the whistleblower, this was the data center, and apparently they tracked a shitload of phone calls, where some say it's invasion of privacy, others say it's security. But apparently this center now, which is ironic because the narrator says, you know, there used to be a place where no one was supposed to know where it's at in secret, but now people know. And I'm like, yeah, well, they definitely know, because you're showing what it is, and you're telling what it is, and you're showing about where it's at. So now people definitely know. If they watch this, they definitely know where to seek it out. So you gave even more. I guess, you know, people already knew, and you can look it up if you want, but just the irony of the statement that the narrator was saying. There's the Salt Lake Flats, which, again, that might have been where some of Independence Day was shot. Because I remember the look of these fields where just everything's white. And I think with some of these fields, there used to be oceans there, and then they evaporated. In fact, even nowadays, there'll be water, but it gets so hot, it will evaporate quickly, and then all that's left is these salt deposits. So you get these layers of just white, fields of white. And apparently, there's a lot of people that drive their cars there called Speed Week. So there's all these shots of people speeding their cars and trying to break some kind of record. They talked about the Donner Party, since that took place in Utah, and they kind of show around where that trail was at. There's an area where there's the bomber squadron training, the B-29s practice runs for when they got the bomb and got to Hiroshima. This is where they were training. And they even have like one of the barns or stuff is still there, but no one's used it for decades now. And then they show some of the cliffs and how sometimes it seems, as the guy put it, like something out of Lord of the Rings and very alien-like territory. And there's these steep cliffs, like steep routes that people take and climb, and I'm like, fuck that. I ain't taking that. I would never take that shit. These steep as fuck routes. I'm like, I ain't taking that shit. Fuck that. Nah, I'll take the pass from it. I'll take the pass. So yeah, sometimes you're sitting there going, God damn, like, never been to Utah, didn't know much about Utah. So you see these really nice looking sites, and you get some decent information. I don't want to give every information away. For those who do want to seek it out, again, either YouTube or Dailymotion. Dailymotion has a lot of this stuff on there. So if you ever want to check it out, that's the best way to do it. But yeah, if you're from Utah, or you lived in Utah, or you ever think of going to Utah, same with these other places, like, check it out. Again, I can't stress how beautiful these shots are, the aerial photography. Spot on with that. So even if you don't care about the information, you just look at the beautiful shots. But the wealth of information, some is pretty interesting stuff. Now again, they're only like 50 minutes, so they're not going to go to every detail, of course, but that was still pretty cool. And you know what? Since this is a pretty short video, let's go to another one. I'll make this a twofer. Also talk about Mississippi, because that was another one that I was requested. And once again, never been to Mississippi. It definitely goes to the floods that happen along Mississippi, which I know that how that goes, because there's been some close calls even around here, and never wish that on anybody. They showcase a trading port for cotton. That was a cotton hub and a slave market. And they definitely talked a bit about the civil rights. It was like about either the floods and the situations that happen, tornadoes, or the civil rights stuff. But it still has some really interesting locations that it shows. The Natchez Trace, which, well, first off, the Lawn Woods, which is like this octagon shape, which I guess was supposed to be an important building, but it was never finished. So the interior is not completed. I guess it was used in the TV show True Blood. But yeah, in Lawnwood, this octagon-shaped building. That was, I mean, it's interesting just how old it was, how it looks from up above, and you see all the trees surrounding on it, and the idea that to this day the interior was never finished. You think someone would go in there and maybe reinforce the outside, but then use the inside for whatever benefit. But I guess they did with that True Blood TV show, but surprised others haven't. One that looked really interesting was the Natchez Trace. It's this long winding road that I think that's the one that goes all the way through Mississippi to Nashville, Tennessee. It just seems like a really beautiful looking road where there's like all these trees around you. And it seems like you did a really beautiful trip through the countryside to have all these trees and stuff around you. And apparently, that back to the day, the Hart brothers, America's, the way they put it, the narrator, America's first serial killers. I'm like, I didn't look that up, so I kind of want to look it up now. Is that true that the Hart brothers were the America's first serial killers? Micah Big Harp. Oh, Harp, not Hart. Harp. Micah Big Harp, born Joshua Harper, and Wiley Little Harp, born William Harper, were American murderers, highwaymen, and river pirates who operated in Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, and Mississippi in the late 18th century. Yeah, the gruesome side of the Harp brothers, America's first serial killers. It even says right here. Multiple people are saying that. So there you go. Okay. Well, I didn't. You learn something new every day. I didn't know that the Harp, not the Heart. Yes, the Heart Foundation. You knew they were dangerous. Especially Jim Nyeville. But, yeah, Harp. But yeah, didn't know about that. So, you learn something new. But nowadays, it's a very good looking, road. Very nice to see. So, that was very cool. If I was with friends, I would gladly, take that for at least one ride. But, who knows? Life ain't over yet. You never know. The thing is, I do not like driving at all, so someone else would have to drive. If someone else is willing to drive, I'll help pay for it. Then we'll go on a country. That'd be nice. They'd get with a friend or two or three and like go across all over the country. And as long as I don't fucking drive, because I hate driving, I'll help any other way. Except sucking dick, I won't do that. You would hope that. Well, where's the ask you to? Well, I'm just making it the state of the affair now, in case it ever comes about. That is off the table. I know this grass, ass, or gas. I could help pay for the gas or something. Don't got no grass, and you ain't in my ass. But anyway. In all seriousness, really cool. Like I said, it was a cool looking road. There's the vine that ate the South that apparently came from a different country. They said from China or something? I can't remember where they said it from. But these vines that they said grow like a foot or so a day. And then they have to do these controlled fires to calm it down. I didn't know anything about that. I thought that was interesting. The tornadoes, 2 of the 5 deadliest tornadoes apparently have struck Mississippi. Like 2 of the deadliest in history of tornadoes, Mississippi was struck. And you just see the devastation. It's always sad to see that stuff. Vicksburg, they show that town and how important it was during the Civil War. And there was a battle with Ulysses S. Grant. And now it's a military park. They show where Elvis Presley was born. His town. I thought that was cool. They show a monument that was made for the first black student to go into the University of Mississippi, James Meredith. I thought that was interesting because it's like a kid walking and there's like these doors, and I thought that was a cool monument to have there. They showed the Nissan plant. I thought it was kind of random. We would go from like tornadoes and the civil rights to here's a Nissan plant. But I mean, I would say one thing I kind of wish they did in these is like kind of show amusement parks. They'd be cool to see like these amusement parks from the air. I think that would be a cool thing to show that kind of stuff. Just have to assume some of these like Utah, Mississippi, they must have some type of amusement park somewhere. Like in, was it, forget it, Iowa? Or was it Minnesota that had Valley Fair? I forget now. But you would think. They show the stadium where I thought there was a funny story where they had a football game, pretty important one, and it looks like they're ready to win. So the guy kicks it, and the ball is good, but the wind deflected the ball. Like a gust of wind. Everything's fine, they kicked it, it's good. Whew. Now, sadly, I don't know if they didn't show that footage. I don't know why they didn't show that footage. Just it's a football. I would assume someone recorded it. It was televised in some way. So why we couldn't see that? Unless they did and I forgot it, or they did and went by so quick I missed it. That could be the case, and if so, that's my fault. But I would like to have seen that footage. Again, I don't know if they did, and I was daydreaming about something, or I was daydreaming about I was thinking about Ace Ventura, Ray Finkel. Is it only, is this guy going to be pissed? Wasn't laces out and go hunt someone down later, kidnap their dolphin? But I would say, like, this one, for some reason, it was less interesting than the other episodes of Aerial America that I saw. Maybe because, like, just watching the flood, tornado stuff, it was just more depressing than anything. And then you just see, a lot of trees and stuff, and there's nothing that made me go, whoa. It was more like, oh, gee, that's cool. Like the what was that called? The evaporation ponds with the bright blue dye in the Utah one, or some of the other stuff. So see, this one, it was a little less interesting than the others, but it was still interesting to watch. I will say, like, these episodes aren't interesting. They're filled with information. They're only 45, 50 minutes long. And if you're into that kind of thing, they're worth a look. But, if you are. So, but again, I don't want to go through every single thing, then, spoil everything. But, I mean, it's hard to review because it's beautiful aerial shots and information being utilized. What more is there? Each one follows its format. There's no on-screen people talking to the camera or anything. It's just a narrator. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So you're either into it or you're not. But this stuff I do find interesting. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.